Hello, thanks for joining me for Volume 4, Orchestral Repertoire for the Snare Drum. Today we're going to be looking at William Schuman Symphony No. 3, the Toccata, Concerto for Orchestra by Bartók, Capriccio Espagnol Rimsky-Korsakov, and Bolero by Ravel. Symphony No. 3 by Schuman, the Toccata. If you're not familiar with this piece, you need to be. It's showing up more and more on audition lists. You can get the music, the full part for this is in Rainer Carroll's Orchestral Repertoire for the Snare Drum book, so you can check that out. The reason it's showing up on audition lists is because it's in cut time. A half note equals 104 to 108. It's pianissimo at the beginning. There's nothing going on but snare drum over a bassoon pedal at the very beginning of this. It's a dotted 8th and 16th note mixed in with 8th note triplets, and it moves right along. Now, Schumann called this his jazz symphony, so I don't play that dotted 8th and 16th the way one would normally play that in the orchestra, which is a very short 16th. I play it more like a something between that and a broken triplet, and that's exercising my artistic license, I guess you could say. And I just think it flows better that way. I think it fits in with the other instruments, fits in with the orchestration, which, by the way, is very thin. This is very exposed. There's nowhere to hide, and hence people want to hear this when you come into audition. The dynamic level never gets above mezzo piano, so be careful in the crescendos that you don't make too much out of those. So I'd like to play from 2 bars before rehearsal 145 to 1 bar before number 200. Now I'd like to play rehearsal 230 to 5 bars after rehearsal 250. Now this is where it's more intense. The orchestration is more intensified here. It starts out mezzo forte and gets up to, on some of the crescendos, to forte. So this is 230. Okay, now we're going to look at Concerto for Orchestra, and we're looking at the second movement of that, and this is without snares. It's a solo, 9-bar solo at the beginning of this, and a lot of people play this, in different ways. One hand accents with the left hand and so forth, butt end of the stick with the left hand. I like to play it just with the accents with the left hand and everything else, all the 16th notes with the right hand. As I said, it's a 9-bar solo, and it's mezzo forte. It's really not too loud at the beginning. And I try to make a legato feel with the, at least visually legato, with the accents. And to do that, I kind of utilize what a timpanist would do when he's making a, you know, kind of a loud singing note. Kind of use the you know, the stroke's going to come from the shoulder. Use the forearm and kind of draw that sound out. And at least, as I said, visually, people think, oh, that's a more legato note. Even if it isn't, it looks that way. So I'm going to play for you the beginning of this, the 9-bar solo in Concerto for Orchestra. Now, you know, that kind of same kind of rhythm continues throughout this movement, and I'm going to play now the 10 bars at the end of this piece, which is the other solo part. So here's the last 10 bars. Okay, now I'd like to look at Capriccio Espagnol, and specifically the third movement, the Alvarada. Now, when you look at this, it's a bunch of separated quarter note, half note rolls, dotted quarter note rolls. They're all disjointed. And so it's kind of confusing when you look at this because, you know, do you play those just as written? Play them short? What do you do? Well, if you listen to the melody's kind of, you know, kind of da 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 da. It kind of just moves on really pretty, and so what I do is, once again, artistic license, is I tie those rolls. I tie them into the next beat. Now, where it goes from a quarter note roll into the half note roll, and that half note roll, I kind of within the roll pulse what the melody's doing. Da digga digga da digga 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 da. Those little accents that the orchestra's making, and then I put some accents on the eighth note, on the dotted quarter note rolls, which is what the orchestra's doing, and on the next grouping of quarter note rolls to the 2 eighth notes, and it kind of follows the melody. And you'll notice that those triplets, the eighth note and 16th note triplets, with the trumpets, it's kind of a neat thing going on there. And of course, the trick is to play them cleanly into the roll on the fourth or on the second beat. Okay, I'm going to play this vivo up until rehearsal letter H, and then I'm going to play rehearsal I. Now the same thing at I starts off with a drag, just like the beginning did. Forgot to mention that. I play that with the right hand, and once again, you've got these quarter note rolls that are they're just sitting there. They're separate. So I've tied all those over, but I'm going to pulse while I'm rolling, I'm going to pulse the melody in there just a little bit, not too much. So bop digga 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 bop digga 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 dop digga 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 bop. So it's kind of just enhancing that melody a bit. Okay, here's the Alvarado movement number 3, Capriccio Espagnol. Whoops, we need snares. This is letter I now. Okay, let's take a look at Bolero. Now, Bolero presents a whole new set of challenges. And I've seen all kinds of ways to play this that people have come up with. Holding the sticks differently, using Spanish coins at the beginning and then have somebody else come in and then switching to sticks, and or things over the drum head and so forth. What they're doing basically is they're trying to deal with their nerves. They're trying to come up with ways so that they can play through their nervousness, and naturally something that's soft like the Schumann Toccata. The first thing that's going to happen when we see that and we have to play that is we're going to have to fight the nerves, that because it's soft and it's fast. So what I do on Bolero is, first of all, I like to rest my butt on a stool, and the reason I do that, not fully sitting on a stool, but kind of like a timpanist would, so you're just sitting kind of on the edge of the stool. What that does is it takes a lot of the tension and everything out of your upper body, out of your shoulders and your upper body, so that you can be relaxed when you play this. So, that's the way it's worked for me over the years. You try it out, see if it works for you. But so the key is being relaxed. Now, if you're not familiar with the term chicken wing, I'm going to show you what I mean by that. What I mean by the chicken wing is where the stroke, whether it's pianissimo or fortissimo, the actual dropping of the stick to the drum head begins at the shoulder. So it's this kind of motion. And that enables me, using the chicken wing, enables me to play very softly, but get a good sound out of the snare drum at the same time and be able to play evenly. And that's what I use for Bolero. I don't use any other, so to speak, tricks to play this except for that. And it's worked very well. And sitting on, resting on the stool helps too. So I'm just going to play a little bit of the beginning of Bolero for you, because these two measures go on, until it's time for you to shave again. Okay, so here's the beginning of Bolero. And the first part of this, first few measures are, I think the first two measures are a solo before the flute comes in. And so forth and so on to infinity. But try out that chicken wing thing, because it really works well, and it'll enable you to play for those notes to come out evenly, which is what you want. You don't want one to sound louder than the other. Okay, thanks for joining me. Hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time.